In today's evolving social landscape, a remarkable trend is emerging. A new wave of Sigma men is stepping away from conventional expectations and societal norms, and it's causing quite a stir. These modern Sigma males, renowned for their independence, self-reliance, and intellectual prowess, are increasingly choosing to forge their own paths rather than conform to traditional roles or seek validation from others. This deliberate shift away from the mainstream has not only set them apart but also drawn disapproval from many modern women who are accustomed to the more traditional dynamics of social interactions and relationships. Sigma men, with their preference for autonomy and introspective focus, challenge established norms and prioritize personal growth over societal approval. Their departure from conventional expectations highlights a broader movement towards self-determined success and fulfillment, much to the chagrin of those who cling to outdated paradigms. As this new wave of Sigma males continues to redefine what it means to be truly independent and successful on their own terms, it's clear that their choice to step away from traditional roles is both a testament to their unique character and a source of discomfort for those who are not ready to embrace this modern shift. Number 13. Sigma men's approach to relationships often reflects a deep-seated desire for personal peace and stability, leading many to withdraw from conventional dating practices. This behavior is deeply rooted in their experiences and historical influences, where past traumas and societal upheavals have shaped their attitudes towards emotional engagement. In today's context, Sigma men prioritize their own mental and emotional well-being, often choosing solitude or selective social interactions over the complexities and potential conflicts of traditional relationships. The modern dating landscape, with its heightened risks of public embarrassment and digital scrutiny, further reinforces their inclination to maintain distance. Sigma men's choice to step back from relationships is not necessarily a sign of disinterest, but rather a deliberate strategy to safeguard their inner peace and self-respect. This approach can be challenging for many women to understand, as it contrasts with traditional expectations of active participation and commitment in relationships. The growing trend of Sigma men valuing their own contentment and autonomy over conventional romantic involvement highlights a significant shift in how relationships are perceived and navigated in contemporary society. Number 12. The trend of Sigma men opting for solitude and disengagement from traditional relationships underscores a fundamental shift in their approach to romantic involvement. This shift is influenced by a desire for personal independence and emotional security, often shaped by historical and societal experiences. Sigma men are increasingly choosing to focus on their personal goals and interests rather than engaging in relationships that may disrupt their sense of peace. This preference for self-sufficiency and solitude can be misinterpreted as a lack of interest or commitment, but it is actually a reflection of a strategic decision to prioritize their own well-being. The modern dating environment, with its potential for public humiliation and emotional strain, further reinforces this trend. Women who are accustomed to traditional expectations of relationship engagement may find this behavior difficult to understand, leading to frustration and confusion. The growing emphasis on personal autonomy and emotional stability among Sigma men highlights a broader cultural shift towards valuing individual fulfillment over conventional relationship norms. Number 11. Sigma men's reluctance to fully engage in traditional relationship structures reflects a broader cultural shift towards valuing personal autonomy and self-sufficiency. Many of these men have observed and internalized the lessons from historical conflicts and societal changes, leading them to prioritize their own mental and emotional well-being over the demands of conventional romantic involvement. This shift is characterized by a preference for maintaining personal space and pursuing individual goals rather than committing to relationships that may compromise their sense of self. The traditional expectations of active participation and emotional investment in relationships are increasingly at odds with Sigma men's focus on self-preservation and independence. This dynamic often results in frustration and confusion among women, who may struggle to reconcile their expectations with the Sigma man's approach. The trend highlights a significant transformation in relationship dynamics, where personal fulfillment and autonomy are taking precedence over conventional romantic norms. Number 10. Sigma men are increasingly walking away from relationships and social interactions, recognizing that the drawbacks far outweigh the benefits. This trend has left many women frustrated and bewildered, as they struggle to understand why men seem to withdraw rather than engage. The roots of this behavior can be traced back to the aftermath of World War I and World War II, where a staggering number of men lost their lives or were involved in the war effort, fundamentally altering their approach to life. Upon returning from such conflicts, many men sought peace and tranquility, avoiding the complexities and potential conflicts of relationships. Today's men face a different set of challenges, including the potential for their private moments to be shared or mocked online. This, combined with the fear of public embarrassment and harsh judgments, has led many to prefer solitude over the risk of rejection and digital humiliation. Women often misinterpret this withdrawal as disinterest or superficiality, not recognizing the deep-seated reasons behind it. Men today are simply seeking peace and stability, reflecting a broader shift in their approach to relationships and social interactions. Number 9. The growing trend of Sigma men opting for solitude and disengagement from traditional relationships has provoked significant backlash from modern women. Many women are disheartened by the fact that men no longer seem eager to engage in conventional dating or commit to relationships. This dissatisfaction stems from a perceived shift in male priorities, where personal peace and individual pursuits outweigh the desire for traditional romantic involvement. Sigma men often prioritize their personal goals, work, and hobbies over romantic entanglements, leading to frustration among women who feel that men are more interested in living out fantasies or indulging in superficial pleasures rather than forming genuine connections. This dynamic has contributed to a growing sense of resentment as women grapple with the reality that many men are now less inclined to invest in traditional relationship models. The result is a disconnect between male and female expectations, with men increasingly focusing on their own fulfillment and autonomy, much to the dismay of women who are struggling to understand or accept this shift. Number 8. Sigma men's commitment to personal independence and solitude has led them to become more selective and less tolerant of disrespect or unmet expectations in relationships. This attitude is deeply rooted in a belief that personal well-being and self-respect are paramount. Sigma men often choose to walk away from relationships at the first sign of disrespect, viewing it as an essential form of self-care. This approach reflects a broader societal shift where men are increasingly unwilling to tolerate behavior that undermines their self-worth or personal boundaries. Such men are not just reacting to individual instances of disrespect, but are influenced by historical patterns of trauma and disillusionment. By prioritizing their own mental and emotional health, Sigma men demonstrate a commitment to maintaining their integrity and well-being. This behavior, though sometimes perceived as cold or indifferent, is a deliberate choice to avoid engaging in toxic dynamics and to preserve their sense of self-worth and peace of mind. Number 7. Sigma men's reluctance to fully commit to traditional relationships is increasingly evident as they prioritize personal fulfillment and independence over conventional romantic pursuits. This shift in priorities is fueled by a growing realization that their personal goals and happiness often take precedence over the demands of a relationship. Men who identify as Sigma are often seen as having a higher value for their autonomy and self-sufficiency, leading to a preference for maintaining their own space and interests. This perspective can be difficult for modern women to accept, as it challenges traditional notions of male commitment and involvement. Many women find themselves frustrated by men who appear detached or uninterested in conventional relationship roles, struggling to reconcile this with their expectations. The result is a growing tension between the desires of women for traditional romantic engagement and the modern approach of Sigma men, who prioritize their own growth and contentment over the traditional expectations of relationships. Number 6. Sigma men's growing preference for solitude and personal growth over conventional romantic entanglements reflects a deeper shift in societal values and individual priorities. They often find fulfillment in their own pursuits, such as career ambitions, personal projects, and hobbies, rather than seeking validation or satisfaction from a relationship. This approach can be misunderstood by many modern women, who may see it as a lack of interest or commitment. However, Sigma men view their independence as a strength and an essential part of their identity. They believe that true happiness comes from self-sufficiency and personal achievement rather than relying on a partner to complete their lives. This perspective has led to a re-evaluation of what constitutes a meaningful relationship, with Sigma men often preferring interactions that align with their values and contribute positively to their personal development. The frustration that many women feel stems from the disconnect between their expectations for partnership and the Sigma man's focus on personal autonomy and self-fulfillment. This dynamic underscores a significant shift in how relationships are approached and valued in today's society. Number 5. The trend of Sigma men walking away from relationships and traditional dating norms is increasingly linked to their quest for personal peace and authenticity. After witnessing the harsh realities of historical conflicts and societal pressures, many Sigma men have come to prioritize their mental and emotional well-being above all else. This shift has led them to disengage from relationships that do not meet their standards or contribute positively to their lives. The withdrawal is often misinterpreted as disinterest, but it is more accurately a reflection of their desire to avoid emotional and psychological strain. Modern dating dynamics, including the fear of public embarrassment and the pressure to conform to societal expectations, have only heightened this trend. Sigma men value their independence and self-reliance, viewing relationships through the lens of personal growth rather than societal validation. This approach has led to a re-evaluation of how relationships should function, with a focus on mutual respect and personal alignment rather than traditional expectations. Number 4. Sigma men's growing tendency to withdraw from relationships and social interactions highlights a broader shift towards valuing personal peace and self-respect. This behavior can be traced back to historical events and societal changes that have shaped their approach to relationships. After enduring the traumas of global conflicts and societal upheavals, many men have developed a heightened sensitivity to emotional distress and a strong preference for maintaining their own stability. This inclination to walk away at the first sign of disrespect or discord is not merely a reaction but a strategic choice to protect their well-being and uphold their standards. Sigma men often prioritize their own mental and emotional health, seeing withdrawal as a means of preserving their peace and autonomy. This stance can be perplexing to many, but it underscores a deeper commitment to personal integrity and self-preservation in the face of modern relationship challenges. The result is a significant shift in how relationships are perceived and valued, reflecting a broader societal evolution in attitudes toward personal fulfillment and self-care. Number 3. The increasing trend of Sigma men stepping away from traditional relationship structures reflects a broader cultural shift towards individualism and personal autonomy. Sigma men often prioritize their own goals and passions over conventional romantic involvement, leading to a disconnect with traditional dating norms. This preference for personal fulfillment and self-sufficiency can be seen as a reaction to the pressures and expectations of modern relationships. Many women find this shift challenging, as it contrasts sharply with their expectations for commitment and engagement. Sigma men's focus on their own pursuits, such as career, hobbies, and personal growth, can be misinterpreted as a lack of interest or emotional investment. However, this approach is rooted in a desire to maintain independence and avoid the emotional complexities often associated with traditional relationships. This change in priorities highlights a significant cultural evolution, where personal autonomy and self-fulfillment increasingly take precedence over conventional relationship models. Number 2, the current trend of Sigma men prioritizing their own needs and withdrawing from traditional dating scenarios underscores a shift towards valuing personal autonomy and independence. This approach is deeply influenced by historical experiences and societal changes that have shaped their perspective on relationships. Many Sigma men have observed and internalized the lessons from past conflicts and societal pressures, leading them to place a high value on maintaining their own stability and peace. This often results in a reluctance to engage in relationships that do not align with their personal standards or contribute positively to their lives. The frustration expressed by many women reflects a misunderstanding of this perspective, as traditional expectations for commitment and engagement clash with the Sigma man's focus on personal fulfillment and self-reliance. This shift highlights a broader cultural transformation, where individual needs and autonomy are increasingly prioritized over conventional relationship norms. Number 1, the increasing tendency of Sigma men to walk away from relationships and social interactions can be traced to a deep-rooted desire for personal peace and authenticity. Historically, men have been shaped by societal pressures and traumatic events, leading to a heightened sensitivity to emotional distress and a strong preference for maintaining their own stability. This behavior is often misunderstood as disinterest or superficiality, but it is actually a reflection of a strategic choice to protect their well-being and uphold their personal standards. Sigma men are more inclined to disengage from relationships that do not meet their criteria or contribute positively to their lives, prioritizing their own mental and emotional health. This shift in attitude challenges traditional expectations and highlights a broader cultural evolution towards valuing personal autonomy and self-preservation. The result is a significant transformation in how relationships are approached, with a growing emphasis on personal fulfillment and independence over conventional romantic involvement. Thank you for your attention. You can now become a member of the channel by clicking the Join button under this video.